Hi, my name is Amy Hawkins with Generation Strategies, and I have an intriguing idea to throw past you. So, this channel is all about communications and inspiring and equipping you to be a participant and help you to be more effective in your marketing and your messaging and your communication. My particular passions are communications, politics, activism, like responsible civics. I also have a side one like law enforcement, but for the purpose of this channel, I want to help conservatives figure out how to win because we can do so much better. So I like to say I'm a Reagan baby. He became president in 1981. I was born in February of 1981. So obviously I grew up in the shadow of his presidency, meaning as a child, you don't really track as much as you now wish you had, right? So, but I've always heard, and of course I love communications. I've been in the political sphere for about 20 years. And I've always heard like just how amazing Ronald Reagan was, that he was an amazing communicator, that he was a visionary, that he was a great leader, that he inspired. And so on one hand, I feel silly that I've not figured this out until now. And so maybe all of you have. But for me recently, it's as I'm processing everything, like where our state is politically, where we are just as Republicans and conservatives, and just where we are as a nation. Let me back it up with this. On one hand, people look at our nation and say, wow, all is lost. I'm giving up. I'm not doing anything. I'm not of that mindset. So I'm a Christian and I believe that like God has great intentions for this nation, that it is only in its infancy, right? Like it feels like everything's falling apart and things are going to topple. But when you understand history and you look at history, yes, we've never been through these exact moments before, but we've had hard moments and people rose to the challenge and leadership, stepped up and we got through it, right? So for me, when I look at where we're at as a nation, it's like, well, I can do a couple things. I can give up and walk away, which I can't. I can keep doing what we've been trying to do, but that's maddening because something is not working, right? When you see like just what's going on, even in the conservative movement overall, like we have got to shift our focus, not to just doing one momentary election, but to being a lifelong engagement and a lifelong mindset that not only do we need to understand our history, but we need to understand where we want to go. We also need to understand what is conservatism and why are we conservative. And while we want results in 2 seconds, that's not realistic for most things. So what we need to start to do is to be more intentional with what is the produce that I want to develop over the next decades. So it comes back to what seeds do you want to plant? So I approach this as more of, okay, something's not working. How do I step up to be a part of the solution? One of the things that's occurred to me is, okay, if Ronald Reagan was such a great communicator, I didn't know him, right? But if he's such a great communicator, why can't we learn from that? And why can't we become little Reagans? I'm not implying that we will ever be his statue. God didn't create us to be Ronald Reagan. God created one Ronald Reagan. But my point is that if he was such a shining light, and I think so many people would say that was one of our last great, some people would say that was one of our last great Republican presidents, or one of our great, just inspirational leaders. I mean, he's a one of a kind, right? I'm not saying everybody agrees with this. I'm saying some people. So how do we learn from that? And how do we take the lessons that he had or the tips that he had and we step into being better communicators so that while people may never say that, oh, wow, there are many Ronald Reagan, but could they at least say, I understand that. I hear that. I feel like you've connected with me. I have a better understanding of what conservatism is. I now see that it's okay for me too to stand strong. It's okay for me too to like speak eloquently and to push back, right? I think that we need to become the next generation of Reagans. How do we do that? Well, I'm going to be learning it too. My challenge to you is we can no longer sit on the sidelines and assume somebody else is coming to save the day. America wasn't made like that. America was not meant to be the nation of George Washington or the nation of Thomas Jefferson or the nation of Grover Cleveland or the nation of Woodrow Wilson, right? It's a nation of the people, by the people, for the people. So, what is it that you in your community, in your township, in your county, in your state, in your church, in your school group, in your business, what can you do to start to speak clearly and winsomely the principles of conservatism, why conservatism brings hope, why the philosophies of conservatism cause us to win as human beings, set aside the party, and why conservatism really is the best system for the future of our nation. So I encourage you, like, go dig into Amazon or Christian books or where the library and find books on Reagan. Listen to old audio of Reagan. Listen to old videos. Talk to people that maybe observed Reagan and what stood out to them. Learn from his tricks of the trade. We will never be Ronald Reagan. But if he has been that shining communicator for the last, at least for me, like from what I've heard, for the last 40 some years, then maybe it's time we start to learn a few of his tricks. And actually, what a great way to honor him too, right? I think he'd be proud to have another generation of people who are saying, okay, you were a good communicator. You did it well. I want to learn from your example. So let me know what you think in the comments. Share this video, but let's be inspired to be better because we are Americans and we've been created for such a time as this.